Hey everyone, I hope you're having a great week and welcome back to Vast Ventures. Today we'll be navigating through the business and SME landscape here in Luxembourg.
All right. You ready? Here we go.
The focus will be on two main entity types that exist here in the country. The first one being tailored towards SMEs and the latter being more so for freelancers. So that way they can have an additional income on top of their 9 to 5 or potentially so that way they could be a freelancer in full. We will also look at the human factor that exists here in Luxembourg. We'll be looking at it from the perspective of finding your first employees.
Create a class to find the medium in a data stream. Go, we don't have much time.
Okay, I guess what we can do is we can create an array and
My grandmother run faster than your code.
Whether it be also finding co-founders for your business and in general, all the different kinds of assistances that you may be able to get here in the country if you were to start your business here as well. So without further ado, let's jump straight into it. The very first thing that you're going to be deciding is the entity type. What kind of business are you going to be making? What rules is it going to follow? What's the company?
What the hell are you talking about?
There's two main ones that you're going to be looking at as a startup. The first one is, of course, you could be a freelancer. It's a very simple to start off. There's virtually no cost behind us, albeit there's a €50 registration fee. You don't need to have your notary involved with this. You do not need an articles of association here as well.
that's a little too easy.
So a freelancer status is quick, it's simple. You could get all your registration finished and approval within a period of 2 to 3 weeks. It's something to consider when you're first starting up. But if you're a person like me that has your 9 to 5 and then you have your 5 to 9, you're running into another issue. So you're already paying taxes on one front. The moment you have a freelance status, all of the income that you generate here will also be accumulated on top for your income taxes. So in reality, there's a few different factors that go into the freelance status. The first one being that in Luxembourg, pension is 8.5%, and then you also have your social security. As I mentioned previously, it comes out to around 12%. The next thing that you have is that you need to pay the employee side, which is 12%, and you also need to pay the employer side, which is also 12%. In total, you're looking at 24% in social security plus pension that you will be paying as a freelancer. That is before any income tax is taken out.
Ew!
And bear in mind, if you have your 9 to 5 already, well, guess what? You're going to be at 39% base income tax pretty damn fast. And that's not including VAT. That starts at a sum of €50,000. In my personal situation, the taxes are far greater than 50%. It makes no sense for me to have a freelance status as an individual here in Luxembourg because I'm just simply throwing away half of my cash.
This is your lunch. Now, you should be able to do whatever you want to with this, right? If you want to eat all of it, great. If you want to throw it away in the garbage, that's your prerogative. But here I come, the government. And I get to take 40% of your lunch.
You can look at a SARL. That's your regular limited liability company. There's two kinds of SARLs. The first one is the SARL S, which is a special entity type that you can have in Luxembourg, but you can only have one of these. So it's important to bear in mind that of course, you will need your articles of association, which means you need to get a notary involved. And the second point being that if you have more than €12,000 in your company and it's held in the books of the company, unfortunately, you will need to convert it to a regular SARL. Because of that, it's great if you're testing something, but the moment that you actually start generating profit and you leave that profit inside the business, there's a high chance that you're going to need to change the entity status from SARL S to a SARL. Since it's a limited liability company, you will also need an accountant unless you manage to do it yourself. But in most cases, let's be fair, we're focused on actually working on the product, working on the business. We're not that involved into the actual accounting process. Personally, it makes a lot more sense to have a professional that's actually taking care of this, because at the end of the day, you're trying to save money. And if they're able to help you save money more than you spend on them, then that's a solid win for you. The rules that govern both regarding accounting are exactly the same. Taxation is the same. Now, I'm not a tax expert. I'm not going to be running into all the different kind of taxes that you can go through. But the corporate tax plus the municipal tax here in Luxembourg City comes out to around, I believe it's 23.5%. Again, that's excluding VAT. That's also excluding the fact that you as a director, founder, or maybe you will treat yourself as an employee, would also be taking out cash. And it's something that you should speak to a tax expert about. At the end, you're going to be paying less taxes than if you were a freelancer. So it's definitely something worth considering. Once you've decided on your entity type, we go to the practical steps. The most basic one being that you need to check for the company name. So you will go onto the Luxembourg Business Register. You'll make sure that the name's not there. You'll get a certificate stating that the name is not there, which you can request also online. The next thing that you do, of course, is that you need to be approved by the Luxembourg regulator to say that you are allowed to be taken part as a director of this company. So even though you're a founder, you're also going to be the manager or director of it. So straight away, you need to get a certificate of good standing, basically, which means that you need to share your diplomas, you need to share a CV with your work experience to show that you're qualified to do what you want to be doing. And of course, the third one are the criminal record checks that you will need. Now, me being an expat, me being somebody that's from Ireland, and I also lived some time in France while I was commuting over to Luxembourg, for me, that meant that I needed to get 3 criminal record certificates. The base rule that you have in Luxembourg is that if you did not reside in Luxembourg for the past 10 years, you need to get a criminal record certificate of all the countries that you resided in up to a period of 10 years ago.
God damn it!
In my case, that was an Irish criminal record certificate, a French one, plus a Luxembourgish one, because I'm carrying out the activity here in Luxembourg. There's a lot of different processes to get criminal record certificates. You need to check which one applies to you. Once you finish the approval from the regulatory side, you also need to think about of where your business is going to be registered. There's a few caveats that come into this. So in Luxembourg, there's a requirement that it cannot be a shell office. It's a hard requirement. You're not going to go past us. So you're going to run into 2 different things. If you want to register an office, you can either A, do it at your rental place, but you need approval from the landlord. If you do not get this approval, you're not allowed to do it. You will face regulatory problems down the road. If you own property here, then of course, since you're the owner, you approve yourself to actually register the business there.
Approved.
Third option is that you can go to an accountant, you can go to a co-working space, and you can register your business there. On average, if it's a co-working space, you're looking at about 500 euros a month just to keep it registered there, just to keep a post box there. Whereas if you do it at an accountant, usually the price is between 200 to 300 euros. But then again, you do not have an office to actually go to every day. You do not have an office to bring your clients to. But likewise, you wouldn't really have an office if it's just your home. So
You may be right. But I don't have to like it.
So once you chose your name, you got the approval from the regulator, you have a registered address, then you will go to a notary and you will go through the articles of association. You will draft them. These are basically the founding documents of your company that will show the rules by which your company governs. But once you have that, you have the approval, you have the articles, then you can actually officially go ahead and launch your business. So initially, if we talk about Luxembourg as a place where you can start a startup, you run into a few different issues straight away.
Oh shit, here we go again.
So the very first thing is, once you're a startup and you're ready to make that change, where you're going from your regular 9 to 5, or maybe you had some cash saved up, you run into one crucial factor, is the high cost of living in the country. And the moment you step outside of your regular 9 to 5, This is money that you will need. Thankfully, the Luxembourgish state actually does give you a bit of a stipend to help you with it. They will pay you 2,000 euros for a period of up to 6 months to help you launch your startup here in the country. The next point is, once you're ready to make that move, so if you are a tech founder, if you're an innovator, and you just need to get that outside expertise to help you get over the line, or maybe you want to hire somebody that will be able to assist you even on a part-time basis. Again, we run into the issue where the high minimum wage in Luxembourg actually makes this difficult. Again, the minimum wage in Luxembourg is the highest in all of Europe. Naturally, even if you're hiring somebody part-time, you're going to be running into that issue pretty fast. The next point is, of course, if you want to start this business with somebody else, where you will have a co-founder or multiple co-founders working with you, it's difficult to find like-minded people within the country. Of course, with a population of 700,000 people, that would always be the case where the density of innovators and entrepreneurs is lower. And naturally, because of that, what ends up happening is that if you have difficulty finding somebody with the same mindset, with somebody that has the same passions as you, somebody that actually wants to push this ahead, rather than taking this as a small side hustle, you will be lucky. You will strike gold if you find a person that is going to have the same interest as you. The next point, of course, is the language barrier that we're going to be looking at in Luxembourg. As it's been shown previously, 2/3 of the country speak 4 or more languages, but that does not exclude the fact that although they're able to speak those languages, I myself am an expat that speaks fluent English. I don't speak fluent French. I run into the language barrier straight away, where even if I'm able to speak a bit of French and they're able to speak a bit of English, the issue is that it's not fluent. You're not able to articulate yourself as well as somebody else that would be. We run into the issue that the Luxembourg state does not really give a lot of grants. It doesn't give you a lot of grants to start your business, to keep it running. But what it does do is that it subsidizes your capex and opex to a certain extent. So, for example, if you wanted to hire consultants to assist with your business and that you are approved for this stipend, you can get about 50 to 70% off of most of your expenses here. And it also runs into the next point. So you also need to understand that in Luxembourg, since it's a small country, and that a lot of the businesses here are quite large and established, a lot of the banks, the funds, the asset managers that exist in Luxembourg, they are already established. You aren't. There's not that many hedge funds here. There's almost no angel investors in the country. So for you to raise capital for your company, once you need to do an additional project, if you need to do a proof of concept, you will actually be seeking your funding in either Germany, France, or the UK for your business that's here in Luxembourg, which is something that doesn't quite make sense, because if this is such a small country, you would assume that it would be easier to get this kind of funding for your company. But unfortunately, that's not the case. So to end the video, if you do decide to take your chances and actually start a business here in Luxembourg or relocate to the country in order to start your business, I'm going to drop some useful links down below. Please check out the comments. Likewise, there exist a few initial places that you should always look at when you're first starting your SME. The first place is going to be the House of Startups that exists here. They work completely for free to assist you. You can shoot them messages anytime. You also have the Chamber of Commerce, which is also very useful when it comes to networking, attending different conferences. Again, completely free. You might meet some incredibly talented people that think along the same wavelength. And likewise, the third and final place that I would recommend is Lux Innovation. Lux Innovation will hold a lot of different information, whether it be assisting you in getting your first funding. They also have different conferences which are not available with the Chamber of Commerce or the House of Startups. So in my opinion, it's best to register with all three. It's completely free. It'll give you a solid foundation. And to be honest, that's the best thing that you can ask for when you're starting a business. In my next video, I'll be talking about how I launched my consultancy, the steps that I took, the registration, how I got my first clients, and in general, just a little bit more about the work that I do. Hopefully, it'll be enough to motivate you and consider taking a like-minded approach to your profession. And so, until then, I wish you all a fantastic week. All the best.